Hey guys, and welcome to my first work in progress video for the Hi-Mock, the HG Hi-Mock that I'm working on, and I don't know if there's going to be more than one work in progress video. I guess there will be probably. This is just the first one, then I suppose just going over some of the aesthetic changes that I'm making to the kit. In the review I said there are a few things that I want to change just in terms of the overall design, some proportions. So working on that and details and stuff as well, and then the putty thinner mixture part, I'll be doing that once I'm done with this. So here is the kit. You can see I am working on some extensions on the arms and the legs. This one on the leg is much more smooth. This one's all done. So basically this leg piece, I can pull that off there. It's just this one piece for the thigh, and it was just to here, and then had a peg, but I just cut off that peg, added 6 millimeters of plot plate, just 3 pieces of 2 millimeter thick plot plate. So like this, it's just 2 millimeter thick, pretty thick stuff, and just cut it into squares, and then just glued the squares just stacked on there. Waited for that to dry, then I just cut around the edge just using my nippers. Just cut like around the edge of that just to get it close to the circular shape. Then just going with a file and then just going around and around and around and around, filing that until we get a nice smooth piece like this, and then I finished it with some sandpaper as well. So we of course lost the detail. This is the arm piece, but it has a similar detail. It had some detail in there. We lost that, but we're going to be covering it up with that with the putty mixture anyway, so don't really care too much about preserving that detail, especially when like just a lot of the parts don't have that detail, so I don't think it's gonna look like weird out of place if the leg doesn't have it. So that's what is done on the leg so far. Then I'm just working on the same thing for the arms as well. For the legs I added 6 millimeters. On the arms I just added 4 millimeters, so just 2 pieces. On the arms it was a little bit more tricky because this the joint part has to go in down from the top, so basically I had to cover that, so now that joint is stuck in there. So then when I go to do the puttying on it and when I go to paint, I'm gonna have to mask this joint part because the joint part I don't want to have putty on there. So that just makes it a little bit more difficult. There maybe could have been other ways to do it, but I don't know, this is just what I decided. Just masking that joint is not too difficult, so that's what I'm gonna do. So yeah, then it was the same thing for this, just had to use a piece of plot plate. So here's one where I haven't added the peg yet. That peg that you see inside there is the peg that's actually part of the joint, so that's the actual peg that you're supposed to use. So I just, the same thing, just cut squares of plot plate, drilled a hole in the center, so then slid the plot plate down onto the peg that was already there, just as a guide, and then do the same thing, filing all around the outside, and then drill that peg out, and then put in a new peg. So I've got the runner here, I've just been cutting off parts of the runner to use for making these new pegs, and the same for the leg as well. It's just a piece of the runner, just have to match it up with the right size that's going to fit in your poly cap, and that's pretty much it. It's pretty simple. So pretty simple, easy little mod you can do like that. If I wanted to, I kind of wanted to extend this part of the leg as well, but that obviously this is a much more complicated shape. It wouldn't have been too difficult to do it, like especially around this lower area, but I think this length for the leg is enough. Let me see there. Just to give you an example, now the leg is more comparable to like the leg of like a normal Gundam leg, whereas before the Hi-Mock's leg is like really short. Of course, this part, like the lower leg, is obviously going to be much different. Oops. But otherwise, it's longer, better, I think. So that's the first thing. The other thing that I've been working a lot on is the backpack. Now, as you can see, I've pretty much completely overhauled the backpack here. I'm still using the original backpack, it's there, but I've just cut some part out, cut out this center part in the middle to use this green piece. This green piece is from a master grade GM Sniper, the 8th MS Team version of the GM Sniper. These pieces here at the bottom are just some like electrical cable, so just drilled out some space in the back where I can plug this in and then curl it around up under the thrusters here. Those thrusters are just Kotobukiya option parts, like these here, like this. So this is what, number P116. And then those little bars on there too, which one of them is not straight, I'm gonna have to take it off and refix it, are just also Kotobukiya option parts, as well as there's a couple of these on here too, one inside there and then one on the top as well, kind of like vent kind of parts. And then these parts, this big ammo drum and this part, which is actually supposed to be an ammo thing as well, I think, but now it kind of looks more like it's like a missile pod. So like these are like missile bay doors that can open up, is what I'm going for now. Those are from just a Kotobukiya weapon set, so they were just extra parts. I used the weapon set for the ZakuAurelius project that I did, and these were just some extra parts from that. Same with this one. This circular piece here, tube piece on the back, is just an extra part from a Kotobukiya weapon set. Then a few pieces of runner here, just cut those runner pieces to fit in there like that. Drilled holes in the top just to make them look like like exhaust piping or something. And then there's another piece here on the side, and then this kind of antenna piece is from the Hitakai Ginkei kit. So you can see it's a little bit frosted there because I used super glue, but for that one, everything else is just glued with Tamiya cement, but that one I just went ahead and used super glue since it's a pretty small, delicate piece. Wanted to make sure it was on there very firmly. But anyway, that fogging will disappear once the primer and paint is on there. So yeah, the drum, you can plug in this cable here to the top like that, and the backpack goes on like that. So here's how it's looking on there. So like I said, I'm not going to be using that putty and thinner mixture on the backpack, so the backpack's just going to be all just mechanical looking like this. And then the wire is going to come down and plug into this gun. I'm using the rifle from the ZakuAurelius kit. So I haven't decided if I want to make the wire plug into the side. I have this part, which is the actual part that the wire is supposed to plug into on the gun that weapon set comes with. So like this is like a port already made specifically to fit the wire. So I might just drill a hole in the back of the gun here and then just drop this piece in there and it'll fit really well. Or just into this back, this part here on the back, just drill a hole where the wire can just feed directly into the back of the gun like that. I don't know, I haven't quite decided yet. So then to hold the gun, I'm going to be using the ZakuAurelius hands as well. So the hands of the ZakuAurelius are already quite similar in size and shape to the Hi-Mock hands. You can see the ZakuAurelius hand is just flat on the top, but just with a little bit of filing. Should be able to change the shape to more like that. On the underside, they do have a little bit more of a difference, whereas this one has this kind of part that wraps around the underside as well. But I really don't think it's too big of a deal. They're so similar. It's close enough. Problem is that the ball joint on them is different. So the ball joint on the ZakuAurelius hand is a little bit larger. It doesn't fit into here. But if we use the, where did it go? Adapter piece that we got to use 1/100 scale hands for this kit, then the ZakuAurelius hands fit in there perfectly. So just like that. Then there we go. So I can use the ZakuAurelius hands as well. That gives me the option of, number one, having a closed fist instead of a like holding hand. Also, I have an open hand, which I can use for underhand, like supporting the gun. So that's good. And then also, of course, the trigger finger hand for holding the gun. So this one actually has a moving trigger finger, but not really all that useful. Just hold that in there like this. And where did the arm piece go? Here it is. And this on here. And this here. And there you go, like that. Should be able to hold that underhand or underarm grip like that on this nice big long rifle that will have this wire plugged into it like that. Should be pretty cool. So yeah, I think that's pretty much all of the modifications that I'm actually going to be doing to the kit. There's not really anything else too much that I want to do. This project is mostly, like I said, just to try out the technique of using the Tamiya and thinner. Sorry, I keep calling it Tamiya. The putty and a thinner mixture. So for now, I'm going to go ahead and finish cleaning up, sanding everything, and finish cleaning up these extended limb parts. And then when I come back, we'll start doing the putty mixing stuff. Alright, so I've got my putty here. I'm going to use just some Mr. Color thinner for that. Here's the Hi-Mock. This piece I'm going to use as a test piece because it's always good to test what you're doing first. I'm just going to mix it up in this just plastic cup here. First thing that I want to do first, though, I think is I have one of these and some pegs, some alligator clips, because I need to separate the parts, because I can't just put it on all like this. I need to separate the parts first. So let's go ahead and do that. Oh, and I forgot to show you, some of these parts I did do some damaging on. I'm gonna go ahead and do some more of that. Actually, I forgot I need to do that. Finished doing it. So here, just for comparison, you can see like this side of the chest doesn't have any, and then this side, I just ground some of that. What I used for that is this tool here, a G tool. And then there's a couple different bits for it, but it's basically got these like, these are kind of like diamond files. You just plug into there and just like that on the edge, like it's pretty good, I think, for doing like just some random roughing on the edge. Basically serving the same purpose as like a Dremel. Like it's a tool that's not specifically for modeling, but kind of all-purpose kind of similar kind of tool. Alright, so all the parts are now separated and buffed. Just need to brush some of that dust off of them like that. Doesn't really matter too much. Like I said, it's all going to be covered up by this. So let's go ahead and mix up some putty. It's a brand new bottle, so I need to puncture the top of that. I know I'm probably going to need a lot of this, so I'm just going to go ahead and make a lot of it. How much? I don't know. Just use a good amount. We're going to thin it as well. That's probably like half the tube right there, but that's okay. Stick that there. Thinner. Dropper. And as far as like actually mixing this, I don't think that there's really any like proper ratio in terms of the mixture, because it's just kind of whatever you want to go for. So I'm just gonna add some, gonna mix this up, and then we'll see where that goes. To actually apply this to the parts, I was going to use a toothbrush, but I think I'm going to use a sponge instead. I know that's going to be quite blown out for you guys, so bear with me. You should see. It's definitely thinner, but I think could maybe go with a little bit more thinner. We'll see. I guess more thinner. I guess if it's too thin, then it's not going to really have much of a texture as much as I want it to. It's just going to just be like paint essentially and just kind of flatten out too much. So I guess I don't want to add too much more. I do want to make sure it's mixed really well though. I think this container was maybe not a good choice. A little bit too big maybe. I don't know. Anyway, so that's pretty thin. Now let me just adjust this here. There we go. So it's pretty thin. Definitely a lot thinner than just regular putty, so I'm going to use just some sponge. I don't need to use the whole thing, I just want to rip off a piece. I'll use this for a while, and then if it gets too much on the sponge, then I can just tear off a new piece. So let's put the cap on the thinner too before I spill that. Put that away. Let's get put our dropper away as well. Try to stay relatively clean here. Let's use our test piece here. Just sponge some. That's probably too much there on the sponge, it looks like. I can just sponge this around on the part. And yeah, I can see it was too much there. But let's see. If I mix it around, I'm going to need this. Yeah, I definitely had too much at first, so now I'm having to spread it around a lot. So the part's too big. Anyway, but it is getting textured. As it's starting to dry out a little bit, it's holding that textured shape rather than just laying back down flat because of the thinner. So I think that's probably going to be good. Anyway, just need to watch it to make sure it holds that texture. But there we go. Let's see, hopefully you guys can see that. We've got some nice texture on there. It's white, so hope you guys are seeing it okay. There we go in the shadow. Some pretty cool texture, it looks like. Yeah, I'd say the test piece is well enough. We'll set that aside and just start going on some of the parts. So let's just go ahead and get a little bit. I want to make sure I'm covering all the area that I want covered as well. I'll have to ask someone who knows better than me, but at the moment now, I'm not sure if this putty will sort of act as a primer if I really need to prime it after this, or if I can just paint directly on this, but I think I'm going to prime it anyway because I don't want to paint onto white. I want the color to be a little bit more dark, so I'm going to have to use a darker color. Anyway, painting just right on top of this white will be too bright, I think, so. That's pretty good, I think. Let's just keep going here. Another part, here's one of the parts that I extended. Let me see. All of these parts will need some cleanup then after this, because I'm sure I'll be getting this stuff around, like in some of like the joint areas, maybe a little bit more than I want it. A little bit more in there, I think. But all in all, I think it's coming out pretty well for what I'm trying to do here. So, this looks like. So far so good. It's not exactly what I had in mind, but I think it's looking okay. So that's good. I think definitely using something else other than a sponge on here will probably give you some different results. I'll have to try it again later using something else. For now I'm just gonna stick to this because it's, oops, shit. Because it's giving me basically what I want. So that's good. A little bit more in there. I think that's good. This stuff smells too quite a bit just because of the lacquer thinner in there. So I think I'm gonna go put on my mask and then we'll come back and continue. Okay, all the parts now have their coating of texture. You can see everything came out pretty well. Let me try to focus that up for you. There we go. This is one that I put those holes in there are like some just kind of bullet hole sort of, or just damage on there. I didn't do a whole lot of that on a lot of parts, just a few on that part in particular. Most other parts there isn't anything like that. So came out pretty well. It's definitely got a texture, and then like once it's primed and painted, that texture is definitely going to stand out from just like some just flat plastic. So it's not really, I think, as dramatic as I had in mind that it would be, but I think it's going to be effective anyway. Like I said, it's certainly going to have a lot more texture than just plain plastic. So that's what I want, is just to be able to see that difference in the plastic between these parts and then the parts like the backpack that are going to be going on there that don't have this on there. The backpack, the feet, and just some of the joint parts, the hands, and the underside of the torso part. So that is going to be pretty much it for this work in progress. From here I'm pretty much ready to prime and paint everything, and then I think I'm going to be doing a little bit of weathering on some of these parts as well, just maybe using a few different techniques. I need to research that a little bit more because I haven't really done a whole lot of weathering techniques in my experience. I see I'm almost out of tape here. I have a whole other bag. Anyway, that is going to be it for this work in progress. Thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions or comments, leave those below. Otherwise, I'll see you guys soon. Bye bye.